Hi, welcome to the Canadian Securities Exchange podcast. I'm your host, Barrington Miller, and today I have a special guest, a newly listed company on the Canadian Securities Exchange, TGOD. I'm here with Sean Bovingdon, CEO and interim CFO with the company. Welcome to the Canadian Securities Exchange and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Barrington. Looking forward to it.
Now, if you've been living under a rock, you may not have heard of TGOD, the Green Organic Dutchman. But I'm going to assume that people have been. So let's tell the people what it is your company does and how you are involved in the cannabis space.
So the Green Organic Dutchman, as we use TGOD, we're a premium quality cannabis producer. More uniquely, we're one of very few certified organic growers. So our products are all organically grown cannabis in our facilities in Ancaster in Ontario and also in Salabri de Valleyfield in Quebec. Not only do we do premium flower, but we do hashish, as well as 2.0 products such as edibles and some beverages, including a unique dissolvable powder called Ripple that is very popular across the country. Currently, we're across every province in Canada, but part of moving to the CSE is our strategy to expand into the future and be able to invest in the US, which is now on our radar.
I can't wait to delve into some of those topics, especially the US. But you did mention 2.0 and sort of the shift that's occurring within cannabis, and you yourself, I believe, represent some of that shift. Can you talk a little bit about your past experiences and employments that led you to this point?
My background primarily is in growth companies and startup companies. Done a lot of work in technology manufacturing, 25 years ago, almost 30 years ago now, and in the oil and gas services, and eventually moving up here into both utilities and then into cannabis now. But it's not just in Canada. A lot of the growth companies I'm involved have been cross-border, moving into the US as well as Indonesia and Colombia in South America. And so been a variety of the growth companies expanding beyond Canada, but taking those companies kind of global. So when we look into the cannabis space here and coming into the cannabis space for me, it was really about seeing an opportunity back in 2018. This was a disruptive market ready to take hold in Canada initially, but we all know Canada is a limited size, and the real prize for the long sustainability of the cannabis industry in Canada is to be involved furthermore internationally, unless you're going to stay as a small craft grower with your own little niche. TGOD offered a lot more than that. And the team we have here with the experience from the likes of Maple Food and Tim Hortons and Pepsi and Coke and those kind of companies that have been involved in international brand building really offered an opportunity for me, initially coming in as a CFO because of that capital markets experience in terms of those growth companies that I've had over the last 30 years, got to a point of saying, well, what really is the longer term future? And the longer term future is taking those brands with a uniqueness of being organic and really being able to take that from the platform built in Canada and taking it into the US as well as internationally. And that's what we're looking to do.
I couldn't agree more that regarding the prize of the United States, it's still the biggest, most untapped market and potential. We were talking the other day about, Arkansas. Arkansas is exploding with cannabis. Michigan has the same amount of medical patients as Canada. So it's really looking forward to that. Now, organic. I've heard this term. We've all heard it. What does it mean, and what does it mean in particular to the cannabis and cannabis products that TGOD produces?
So from a technical standpoint, the first things to know is there's no synthetic fertilizers, no synthetic pesticides used in the growing of our cannabis. The other aspect is it's grown in living soil. That does a couple of things. First off, It means we're getting the natural nutrients and the symbiosis of the nutrients in the soil going into the plant, and it's the soil feeding the plant, which is really important from getting an increased terpene profile, the natural smoke and cleanliness of the smoke of the flower is enhanced by that natural nutrient flow into the plant out of the living soil. It also means there's less waste. So from a sustainability and economically, environmentally a conscious perspective, we're not throwing landfills of rock wool out every harvest. That soil is actually gets replenished, and we use it could be used for up to 5 years in terms of the soil for the one plant for the next harvest. You just top up as you pull out the plant and harvest the plant. You just do a top up in the where the root ball was, and the soil actually gets better over time. So it really, really enhances the nature of the flower. And so there's only a couple of certified organic cannabis growers in Canada. We are the largest of those. And it's really being able to take that and the quality of the terpenes, so the quality of the flower, the quality of the smoke really comes out, as well as getting that full kind of environmentally sustainable nature of the products in the marketplace.
Now, this is the point where I do a little plug for the CSE. We are hosting an ESG event next month in Toronto, as well as the following month in Vancouver. So check it out. ESG is an important part of what's happening in the capital markets. Now, you were talking about organic, and this leads me into my next area, which is the differentiation between you and your competition. What else is there that the distinction that separates TGOD from everywhere else, outside of just being one of the only certified truly organic companies?
Yeah, so I think one way to look at it is if we look at the marketplace now, initially as the market matures, users of cannabis look for better flavors, better aromas, better terpene profile. And you see the larger producers or cultivators who producing maybe cheap value product start to lose some of that market share for more craft and differentiated strains and unique strains. What TGOD is actually that craft quality at scale. So we're not just restricted into one little market. We'll be able to provide, such as our sugar bush flower, which has got remarkably good reviews, is very well liked, but not restricted to being just a craft small amount or a limited time offering. We're able to do that at scale across the country. It's one of the number one selling brands in Quebec, and it's been very popular now in Ontario. We've been able to take those strains such as Sugar Bush and other ones that are coming up with that kind of craft care, but at scale, to be able to provide that across the country. So the reflection in it is really flower is still the largest part of the market, as we all know, but it's taking those strains and that quality and cleanliness. If you're health conscious as well and the wellness conscious of it, particularly in this kind of day and age, you know that you're getting a pure flower, you're getting a pure, clean bud. And that's also being used into the extract or the distillate for our hash and for the 2.0 products that come from that.
Let's excuse me. Let's talk about your listing on the Canadian Securities Exchange and sort of the turnaround that was happening at TGOD. Why did you choose to list with the Canadian Securities Exchange, and why now?
Right. So the last year has been a transition time for TGOD. One, from first of all, fully commissioning and getting to scale that craft quality flower and being able to bring it into the market with above 20% THC, which in the early days of TGOD we weren't in a position to do, but quite comfortably doing all of our flower now at that higher level THC, good quality every time. Second thing was that focus on the flower, but focus on execution. And much like a lot of the cannabis producers back in the 2018, they overbuilt. And so part of our execution was really right. We built this massive facility, or started to build this massive facility in Quebec with a view to, distributing and exporting the flower everywhere around the world. It's clear that the regulations aren't allowing that kind of export and operations. You need to be in the local markets.
Yeah.
So realizing that, part of that was we sold Valleyfield. We leased back the amount of space that made sense, so reducing our footprint there from 800,000 square feet to 80,000 square feet, which is perfectly adequate and very good for being able to grow in Quebec and provide the Canadian market what it needs. But it also allowed us to pay down our senior debt. And so that was the second step the third step being now having the balance sheet and the right size scale of facilities and good quality product in Canada to take it to the rest of the world. In order to do that, on the medical side, we've got distribution agreements in Mexico and Germany and into Australia and South Africa. But from a recreational perspective, we needed to be able to get into the US. And we want to do it now. If we wait for federal legalization, who knows when that's going to happen? It could be suddenly by November 2022 as part of an election promise, or it could be 5 years out. If you wait till then, you're too late.
Yeah.
With the traction that the MSOs are getting, it behooves us to get involved in the US as soon as possible. And in order to do that, we needed to be on the CSC. Not only are the investors in the CSC familiar with the MSOs and familiar with the larger cannabis companies in the US, but there's the ability to invest in the US, even for newcomers like ourselves in the market. We needed to be on the CSC, which the other exchanges in Canada don't allow. They're waiting for federal legalization, and that's too long to wait to really get a footprint in the market. We're now actively looking in the US, looking not to spend a lot of money. We're not looking to build a $200 million square foot facility outside of Pittsburgh, right? But to partner with the existing kind of craft growers. And there's over 1,600 craft growers in the Clean Green Directory in the US who are looking for access to capital or looking to expand. We can help them and partner with them expand, at the same time introducing our brands and our organic IP, our organic strains, our highly Dutch and our Sugar Bush and Maple Kush, organic fire strains into the US market, partnering with them in terms of getting that footprint in the US states.
I did an interview a while ago for Mining Over Canada. You can check it out on CSC TV, located on YouTube on our station. And I was talking about what to look for when you're investing in a company. And inevitably the answer is always management. And it's not just of what they did or what they're doing, but the ability to recognize when something isn't working, change, pivot, and then plow forward. And so that's why I was sort of just smiling to myself, because that's exactly what TGOD did and is currently doing. So that's good. If you are looking for companies to
I appreciate that. I appreciate it. It's about focus, execution, and discipline. Right? We cut our SG&A costs in half over the last year to be right sized for where we are in our growth cycle, and then build on that going forward in a responsible way.
Now, I don't want to talk about COVID. I don't want to talk about the pandemic, but I have to. So what's changed for the Green Organic Dutchman during the last year plus, almost 2 years now? What's different now than when you were forecasting going into it, into March 2020? And what do you see now coming out near the end of 2021?
So firstly, I've been very proud of the team at TGOD, both in our facilities, which have stayed open the whole time, and how each person and each member of the team has taken the challenge seriously, and with the protocols and PPE and social distancing and changes in shift sizes that we introduced early on and maintained and operated throughout. We've been fortunate and disciplined throughout to be able to keep the facility running and get our product out the door. So I'm very proud of how people have reacted to that and risen to the challenge to be able to get through it. From a market perspective, yes, in Canada, and particularly with the retail stores being shut, we've had to be more agile in terms of working online, working to find different ways to in social media opportunities to promote the products and advertising, not advertising in the traditional sense, but getting the message out. And part of, for example, the launch of the Tea God Promise and the Clean Craft in February and March of this year was really an initiative to really let the world know, let the Canadian cannabis market know about Tea God and about the changes we've made to our product, about the advances we've made in the quality and the new highly Dutch whole mainstream brand and that's been released, as well as the hashish and the 2.0 products. And our revenue's grown over the last year from $500,000 a month to over $3.5 million, coming on $4 million a month, as part of that growth cycle and just having that focus and execution and getting the message out. So it's been a challenging time, but so the team's really stepped up to it and helped us keep active and grow throughout the period.
And we did the Cannabis Investor Series, which you can again find on CSC TV. And I was speaking with a CEO, and again, I'm like, what should investors look for? And he's like, growth, month over month, quarter over quarter. Take a look at that. That'll tell you the story. And so again, you're checking off all these boxes, which is great. Now, you talked about Canada, talked about the US. Let's go a little bit beyond. You mentioned Germany and you mentioned Mexico. What's happening there, and what are the plans for Green Organic Dutchman?
So in Germany, it's the largest medical market in Europe. We've been right at the 95-yard line in terms of getting our EU GMP certification to qualify our products for distribution into Germany. But while doing that, we have one wholesale agreement already signed up, ready to go, and two more pending that'll give us distribution across Germany for our medical cannabis products. In Mexico, we've been in a joint venture with a group that's got 7,600 pharmacies in Mexico. We have 4 products going through the approval stage with COFEPRIS, which is the Health Canada of Mexico, the regulatory authority there, and having those products ready to go into Mexico as soon as the regulations provide. It's taken longer in Mexico because of COVID. This again, something that was meant to be cleared from their perspective, 6 months ago. But it is still progressing. They have a new commissioner in place for the COFEPRIS, and this is one of his priorities in terms of getting this moved along. So the main thing is having that distribution relationships. We've got those ready to go in Germany and Mexico. So into 2022, we're looking forward to actually then starting to be able to ship the product.
Is there a message that you have for shareholders, investors, and soon to be new investors who are going to be listening and watching this podcast?
I think some of the elements you touched on there, Barrington, in terms of there's been a lot of hype over cannabis over the last few years. But at the end of the day, it's results that matter. It's the execution that matters. And don't look to the any of the hype around particular products or hype around promises. What I've always focused on is, make sure you execute on what you say you're going to do. And, I became CEO last November. I was asked to take that up from the CFO role as well. And that has been the mantra I've been talking to with our team. And I think the results do speak for itself over the last year. And so when we look to go to the US and look to partner with the right companies there to build on that and build that halo. It's not about running too fast before we can walk. It's about doing it in a disciplined manner and having that steady growth step by step and building on that I think investors are going to see us continue to do, like we've done over the last year in Canada, and doing that on a greater scale into the US.
That is a great note to end on. I've been your host, Barrington Miller. This has been a Canadian Securities Exchange podcast. Please check us out, subscribe, click, like, send in some suggestions. I was here with Sean Bovingdon, CEO and interim CFO with the Green Organic Dutchman, trading under the symbol TGOD on the CSE. Thank you so much, Sean, for taking the time, and best of luck going forward.
Thank you, sir.